Hi, today we will be speaking to someone very special, a person who is bold, courageous, and empowered. She's a diamond that I had the privilege of meeting many years ago and whose light shines wherever she goes in this big world. A person who is admired and recognized widely in the field of empowerment and education. This special lady leaves her unique mark in the wake of her greatness, and she's an inspiration to us all. So thank you, Miss Sarisha Rameshwal Kamal, for your time today in allowing us to ask you questions that a lot of people are curious about. And this will be focusing on a South African female perspective. So let's talk empowerment with Sarisha. So hi, Miss Kamal.
Hello, Dr. Caitlin Govender. What a pleasure to be sitting on the opposite end of you. Two women doing their thing. So thank you so much, Dr. Caitlin Govender. I must say right at the beginning, I am super proud of you and the young women that you are and all of your achievements. You truly are one of the most compassionate beings that I know, and I'm blessed to know. And I'm so grateful that you are doing this interview with me. So thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. So let's start. What inspired you to become so passionate about women empowerment?
I feel that fortunately for me, I've been raised in a home with grandparents, my granddad and my dad, and of course all the other male persons in my family, where I was never understood that I'm a girl and so I'm different, or that my brother is a boy and he's different. We were raised to understand that we are people. So whatever roles or whatever responsibilities we had always done it equally as persons, as children, as young children growing up. So I never understood that there were so many differences in terms of what society had placed upon people. As I had grown up and later, my later adulthood and going to university was the big shock to myself. Because, once you start to engage with such a diverse community and such broad spectrums of the society, you realize that there's so many imbalances and inadequacies that are created in society. And for me, it was a huge shock. I was terribly afraid, in fact, to even say at the beginning, because I couldn't understand it. I didn't understand it. And I couldn't see how could this be real? Could there be so many differences in terms of how people are and who people are and how people are treated? So I was very fortunate that I had a support system where I could question these things in the home. And I got the kind of answers that empowered me to think with a broader mindset. And then the fact that I was at university and the fact that I had a supportive home environment, they allowed questions to take place. I'm very grateful for individuals, being surrounded by individuals who allowed me to question how is this possible? How can this be true? Is this a reality? And the fact that I was already enrolled at university, having the background of individuals who are willing to take my questions and very compassionately and patiently answer them to me, gave me the indication that there is a niche, there is a gap, and that perhaps my inquiring mind or my presence was what was needed in terms of empowerment. And from that perspective, from my early adulthood, I had already decided in a very small way, in the way that a young woman at university with a bright idea of what the world should be like, started taking stances in, so this is what empowerment is. It means having a voice and not being afraid to use it, but with the respect and mindset that if I have a voice, you also have a voice. So empowerment for me started really at that point where I was first exposed to inequality and that which was never kosher to me as a person coming from where I came. That is simply put, that would be the background from which I started understanding what empowerment is and what it can possibly do for me and the rest of the persons that I communicate with.
So I can assume how challenging it must have been, like to have your whole life where everything seems equal until you're thrown out into the world, and now there's all these things, there's these divisions amongst people, and it's very different kind of thinking as well between different kinds of people. So how did you cope with that early on when you were trying to wrap your head around what the world actually was?
The thing is never to stop asking questions. I was very afraid, no doubt about it. I think being a young girl, I was afraid because it was really glaringly different. I will never forget my first week at university. I was excited about being at university, but suddenly I was placed in an environment where there was so much differences that I was literally gobsmacked for understanding. I came to a standstill in terms of, is this the real world? Have I literally been living in a little cushion, protected and taken care of? I took a lot of time to truly be patient with myself, and also being an Aquarian. I don't know if you believe in that, but also being an Aquarian, I think the fact that I wanted to ask questions, I always had a very inquiring mind. I never accepted things just as is. There's nothing conventional about me. My mother is the first person who will always say that, So I questioned and I questioned and I questioned and I questioned until I received the kind of answers that made sense to me and had an impact on the kind of impact that I wanted to my external world. So that was what I started doing, and that's what really transpired way back then.
It shows as to why everywhere you go, change follows. So it doesn't follow you, you create the change. And so,
oh, bless you.
We always say that the one most empowering thing you can ever impart in somebody is knowledge, and something you can never take away from somebody's education. And so, what is one favorite book of yours that you would recommend to us who are just out into this world, still figuring things out in our own special kind of way?
That's really a very difficult question to ask somebody like myself. Really, I would put that as one of the difficult questions, because I have such an eclectic genre of tastes of books that I love. I honestly can't put it down to a particular book, but if I want to be fair, I can say that, the one book that has really inspired me from a very early age and continues to inspire me even now as a senior woman would first and foremost be, for me, the Bhagavad Gita. And the Bhagavad Gita is literally a conversation between two divine souls who speak about the reality of the world, the experiences of the world, and one's duty in that world. So I have found that even though that book has been written thousands of years ago, it has the kind of experiences and answers that are equally relevant to me and my life, even now in 2021. So that would first, be my ultimate favorite. But then again, I really don't want to stop there, because I will be emotionally hurt if I do stop there. I would say the kind of authors that I would always celebrate, number one would be Brené Brown and The Art of Vulnerability. I feel every single person needs to read books by Brené Brown. She speaks about how important it is for us to show up in ourselves, as ourselves, and not be constantly wanting to make excuses for who we are. Be comfortable with who you are, be comfortable from where you come from, and take life from that stance. If somebody doesn't respond to you with love and with good intentions, it really is about them and little to do with you. So Brené Brown, definitely Maya Angelou is an absolute must read. All of her books, absolute must read. She again gives you the clarity to be a bold woman, be confident in who you are, and make no excuses for your life's journey. And that ultimately is what we should be doing. Should not be making excuses for who we are. Deepak Chopra, no doubt, Joe Vitale, absolutely. Daniel Goleman, who speaks of emotional intelligence. I mean, these are the kind of books, an eclectic taste of books, because all of the books put together gives me the understanding of the holistic understanding of who Sarisha is. It caters for my mind, it caters for my emotions, it takes care of my physical well-being, my spiritual connection with the divine. It just allows me to truly be aware of all aspects of me. So to choose just one book really is an unfair question, but I can understand what you're saying. So I would rather say my first and foremost would be the Bhagavad Gita, no doubt, for all of its invaluable resource and divine information to the world. And then I would go with the different type of authors that bring absolute joy to every single person that's reading. Every person that reads these books by these authors will always find themselves something that they need to take from the story at that particular time. And that's what I find so powerful.
Well, there's no doubt that you're a bookworm, because of any bookworm that you ask, what's a favorite book or a favorite author, they're puzzled, completely puzzled for a good
Yeah.
while. And so I had
It's an unfair question.
Well, we have these unfair situations in life and we deal with them, and no doubt you dealt with that gracefully. And I can say I had the privilege of having more knowledge imparted onto me by you with the gift. So I can definitely say, as somebody who had an amazing role model in you that always encouraged me to be bold and be empowered and have the confidence to just be who I am and not apologize for that, and to always want the best. And a book like that, even though we hadn't seen each other in so long, it was the perfect thing, because as much as we're always going for these great and these amazing things, and we always want to keep pushing for excellence, there's also some beauty in the ordinary and in the simple things in life that we sometimes take for granted in the rush of going for greatness. So no doubt there, in terms of your book choices, I can firsthand give you a great recommendation to know that it, depending on the situation, you have the book for every situation that one could possibly go into. And so, final question, in terms of your own journey and everything that you've been through. I mean, your experience is so vast. And so, when needing inspiration yourself, what is a favorite quote that you would lean on to give you just that extra push when it's one of those days that's just not going well?
I would, we all go through different stages in our lives, right? And at certain stages, some of those stages last a good couple of years, right? For me, I would say that the pinnacle point of me truly starting to become a little bit more of who I am meant to be was probably in and around 1992, when I think as a young girl, the most challenging experiences came forth. My dad had his first heart attack, and that was the first fear factor in my understanding of loss, in understanding of this is something that's so real that can separate us as a family. And my dad's always been my go-to person, It was at that time, exact same time, that I found two quotations, and I'm sure you would also be familiar with that. And even those persons that know me or even communicate with me via email would know that the first quote is, "Be the change you want to see in the world." It was in 1992 that I came across that quote. And because of the experiences that was happening then, and those life experiences took me by such the tug of my heart, that the two quotes, the first one, "Be the change you want to see in the world," and the second one, which a young lady shared with me when I was actually doing a training session, mind you. I went in to do a training session with a group of people, a young group of young females, and she came up to me at the end of the session and gave me a little card with this quote that says, "Even in the midst of winter lies in me an invincible summer." So those two quotations came to me in 1992, and I don't believe in coincidences. I don't take things for granted. So when I reflected, and being a journal entry, I mean, journaling is part of my every single day normal routine and habit. I understood and was so grateful that those two quotes I had found, because it just made sense to me right then in my life. It was like, be the change you want to be in the world means, young girl, you've actually been pretty well taken care of. You have been cushioned, if I may even use that word as graciously as I can. Now you need to find your own strength, and you need to be able to step out and be that change if you want it in the world. And the second one is that even though it feels like winter right now, even though it feels like really dark and dreary and cold, and there's so much of uncertainty that you may be experiencing, there's an invincible summer in you. So literally embrace it. And those are the two quotations that I have taken to be my own. And even up to today, in all my email correspondence, you always find at the bottom, be the change you want to see in the world. From 1992, even now to 2021, because it's still so relevant even today. In fact, I think even so, more so today. So it speaks of awareness of an individual, it speaks of who you are, and it speaks of whatever the life experiences that you may be dealing with, you can be that change, and it has to pass. Nothing is going, that season is there for a reason, but it is going to pass. And within you is that invincible summer that you can bring out, should you choose, should you decide to be that change.
Well, speaking from experience, I can definitely say that you are every bit of light and brightness and warmth and all the feel-good things that come with summer. And no matter who you meet and no matter what situation they're in, you bring such a warm presence that is just so reassuring to anybody. And the thing is, they don't even need to know you. They just need to meet you. And everybody has this unique experience when they meet you. That's the best way I think I can put it. It's an experience just to meet you. And then once, I think the people that have had the privilege of getting to know you personally, it's quite an uncanny experience that somebody goes through, just to know that positive energy that you give off, no matter what situation you're in and no matter what headspace you're in. The person on the other end is so receiving of that positivity that it just elevates them to another level they weren't thinking that they could reach, just because you are putting out all those kinds of feel good vibes, as I can put it, into the world. And it's really, really an experience that more people in the world should have the privilege of going through, because I can be guaranteed, if I meet even a third of the people, some of the people that you've come into contact with over the last couple of years, I have no doubt they're going to say something similar to what I'm saying. It's an experience, and one that I feel like everybody in the world needs to have someone like that in their life, that just motivates them to be the best versions of themselves. And that can only come from somebody being so enlightened in terms of their own presence. It's really, really something special. And so I cannot thank you enough for, and I don't think anybody who you've helped or you've met and they've had their own experience of meeting you, and they've had their own realizations when they've met you, I don't think there's enough thank yous in the world or enough ways we can show you how much we appreciate somebody like you that's out there in the world, showing young females that regardless of what's stacked against you, you can put the stacks just as high and even higher in your favor to keep on going. And the world just needs more people like that. And so thank you from, I think, everybody that will ever have the privilege of meeting you. Just thank you for everything that you stand for and everything that you're doing out in the world today.
Dr. Caitlin, you're not supposed to do that right now, because now I'm feeling really emotional, but so grateful. I am grateful, and I'm equally proud of you, the women you are. I'm blessed to work with really empowered young women, and I hope that your journey fulfills all of your dreams and all of your passions and fulfills your purpose equally with every step of the way. And I truly hope that you are going to keep on evolving more and more into that compassionate surgeon, that international surgeon that we are going to be hearing of very, very soon. I wish you every success, and I thank you again for this rapid fire conversation. Thank you so much. Be well and be blessed. Thank you again.
Thank you.